Hi, and welcome to Changemakers with Eleanor, the podcast where we dive into the lives and lessons of those who are making a difference. I'm your host, Eleanor Baggaley, and in each episode we bring you inspiring stories from leaders, coaches, and people who are not just dreaming of change, but making it happen. Whether they're penning their first book, working in their community, or leading a revolution in their industry, you'll get a first-hand look at how they're shaping the world. If you're looking to leave a mark or simply love a good story about modern-day heroes, you've come to the right place. Here, we're all about changing the world, whether that's one person's world or the world in general. So grab your notebook or just a comfortable seat and let's explore these fascinating journeys together. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts to ensure you never miss an episode. Let's go change the world together. Hi, so in this episode I have James Gardner with me. So James, do you want to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you so much. I'm James Gardner. I am from Kent in the southeast of England, and I am passionate about leadership, and I love helping founders and CEOs, managing directors of business to really find their leadership skills and also help form a team of senior leadership people in their business so that they can go off to do whatever it is that they wanted to do when they started their business.
So how does what you do with that make you a change maker?
I think I come from a different approach maybe to others. I've actually lived this. I've done this myself. A lot of the methods I use come from my mistakes, my failures, where I've got it wrong in the past. And I feel that we learn so much from our mistakes that it's a crime not to be able to use them. So I really come from it from that point of view. I've also read lots of books around it. I've listened to thousands of hours of podcasts and audiobooks, and I've mentored lots of amazing leaders over the years as well. Some in-house in my own businesses and also others around the world, really. And I try and make every call, every interaction really applicable to that person. It's not about my agenda, it's about theirs. Where are they at? What are they struggling with? Often it could be something that's nothing to do with the business. It might be something that's going on at home or in their personal life, and then that's coming through into their business world. So it's about them, as it should be, and it's about helping them to grow and develop so that they in turn can help others to grow and develop too.
Okay. And as an ex-teacher, I love the fact that you said we all learn from our mistakes, because that has been my mantra all through life, that actually we need to make mistakes. And I think kind of being British, we sometimes see mistakes as failure, and I think we need to celebrate those mistakes more, because that is ultimately where the learning happens, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it's interesting, I think teaching has evolved so much over the last few decades from when I was at school, 40 years ago, I guess I started school, to now and through my children going to school and actually onto college and university this week. So it's a big change for us.
Wow.
At home as well. But from those days back 30 years ago, when it would be a red pen that you'd mark with and a C me and a negative on getting 9 out of 10 in a test rather than 10 out of 10 in a spelling test.
Yeah, I remember my dad always used to say kind of, well, where's the extra one gone? And it was like, oh no. But yeah, I think, yeah, it's definitely changed now to more celebrations around kind of room for improvement and room to grow.
Absolutely, yeah. And what I find working with amazing leaders, as I do, and I'm privileged to do, they actually embrace that. They look for the errors they've made and the errors that other people around them make, so they learn from others as well. And that's what makes the difference, I think, for them, is that they're always learning, always wanting to improve and be better than they were the day before. I've got an old quote, it's not mine, it's someone else, but the quote is, I'm better than I was 6 months ago, but not as good as I'm going to be in 6 months' time. And that way I'm always learning and trying to grow.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. And why is it important to you to help these people to develop their leadership skills?
It's a really good question. I think it comes from a personal background of when I was being managed by managers in my early career, and they were poor managers. Nothing against them, God bless them, they can do whatever they like, but I didn't feel good about being in their world, as it were. So I wanted to lead differently myself. So when I owned businesses, which I have now, and for the past 2 decades, and leading my own team, I wanted to lead differently. And from that, I found that actually I can then help others in my team and other people's teams to find their own path and their own journey. And it's so much fun, and I get so much enjoyment from helping people to soar and to fly rather than clipping their wings and holding them back. And when you can see that in that transition in people, it doesn't happen for everybody, not everybody's like that, but for certain people, if you can really help them to learn that and to get over their sort of trust issues that they often have with themselves and with their team because they've been let down before, and the old adage, it's quicker if I just do it myself, and all those sorts of things. Not only does it empower their team and then their business grows, but you also see that the pressure and the stress comes off of the owners and the founders and the CEOs, so that they can step back. They start to enjoy going into work again and creating visions for their future and their business's future. And for me, all of that is just fantastic. But it does take a certain type of person that wants to start doing that.
What do you think it is about the people who don't kind of get that breakthrough? Do you think there's anything kind of specific that you can put your finger on, or is it? I mean, obviously you talked about kind of people letting go of that trust. Do you think it's related to that, or is it something different?
I think people have been burnt in the past, but I think most people have. And then I think, again, a new teaching thing is about having a growth mindset. And I think there are some new leaders out there and old leaders out there that have that growth mindset, that want to learn. And they see it in other people. You take the likes of Richard Branson, for example, runs hundreds of companies. He has the same 24 hours a day that everybody else has, but he set it up differently. And every successful, whatever that might mean, but every business person out there with a big company, a big organization, has key people in place, their senior leadership team. And it's about developing their skills as well. And it's a two-way streak. It works because you, as the leader, the founder, the owner, has to be able to let go. But it's about delegating properly. And I do a lot of work with people about delegation and the art of delegation, and about explaining so clearly and defining it so well that everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing and when it's accomplished, and also checking in on them. Often we just give somebody a task and then they fail, and then, see, I told you it wouldn't work. And that's not what delegation's about at all.
And I guess everybody has different strengths as well, isn't it? It's about kind of identifying what those strengths are in different people. Then, I mean, I wear multiple hats. Anyone who knows me, and one of those hats at the moment is I've gone into a charity to work with the organisation to kind of just help them. We're at a kind of a total turning point and working out where we want to go. I think there's a member of staff in there that possibly hasn't necessarily been, she probably has had her wings clipped a little bit, and it's been really nice because I'm probably, I don't want to sing my own praises, but I don't want to be doing everything. I haven't got the time in the day to do everything. So actually, to show that you have trust in someone to give something a go can often open up even more thoughts, ideas, opportunities than you can on your own, without putting that trust in.
Yeah, 100%. So I acquire businesses is what I do now. I've started businesses from scratch and built those up over time. I've sold businesses and started businesses internationally in America and everything else like that. But whenever I acquire a new business, one of the first things I do is to gather the team together. It doesn't matter how big or small they are. And we sit down and we have an ideas and suggestions meeting. They know this is coming. It's not a surprise. It's not a shock to them, because I want them to start thinking about their ideas and suggestions. And I just ask them, what is it? I ask them 3 questions, the 3 what questions. So if this was your company, what would you start doing? If this was your company, what would you stop doing? And if this was your company and money was no object, what would you want to do? And in one of my first acquisitions, there was only a small team, 4 people, and I asked this individually in their one-to-ones. And I started making a list of it, and I would then empower them to go and do a lot of that work, whether it's finding out quotes or doing the thing that it was that they wanted to do. And after 3 months, 90 days, I thought, gosh, we've done a lot of things. And I totaled them all up. And in a morning huddle where we all get together and we start our day together, I said to them, how many ideas and suggestions do you think we've done and implemented, actually physically implemented over the last 90 days? Someone said 10, someone said 12, someone said 15. I said, we've done 102 things in 90 days. Now, if I tried to change 102 things in a business I just acquired, there would be no way. There'd be so much resistance and people would be frustrated because I wasn't trying to change anything. I was empowering them with their ideas, their suggestions. Now, a lot of those I had as well before I took over the business because I could see what needed to be improved, but I didn't care. I didn't want it to be my ideas. It was theirs. I empowered them and championed them to be able to do it. And I still do that today. So every other month or so, we'll have an ideas and suggestions meetings at different businesses that I now own. And we're continuing to add to the list. We're continuing to tick off things on the list as well. And I'm continuing to empower people to run with those ideas. And it's a great way, those 3 what questions, to be able to help people to be able to come out of their shell. You've got to feed back to them. Even if you've done it and it's very clear you've done it, you've still got to tell them you've done it and tell everybody else you've done it so that it encourages them to come up with more ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess, I mean, obviously I've done many exercises and it is once you start that idea creation, it opens the door to keep flowing, doesn't it? And that's only a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So where do you see, obviously you're doing this at the moment, you've done it for quite a while. Where do you see the future of this? Have you got any kind of grand plans, any changes that you foresee happening? I mean, obviously you've got ChatGPT as a bit of a coach happening now with things. Where do you see the future of what you do going?
Yeah, that's really good. And again, AI, I love AI. I use AI myself, and I find it's a great at starting off things, and then you can go in and finesse them as well. I was having a mentoring conversation yesterday with one of my amazing mentees. He's an elite athlete in the top 0.1% of his game is what he does. And what was fascinating was, I think if he'd had the same conversation with AI, I don't think he would have had the same responses. Not because I'm cleverer than AI, because I'm not, but because
I
I
think you
have.
probably are, because it's only as good as the people who are putting it in. So I think you can still own that one.
That's very kind. But I think it's because I'm listening not just to what he's saying and the words that he's saying, but I'm also filling in the gaps, filling in the things he's not saying, and picking up on different points, and also connecting dots that have come to me from other conversations I've had or other lessons I've learned through podcasts and interviews and books and everything else. So I don't know whether we'll ever get there with AI or not. Maybe we will, but until then, I think there's 2 things that AI can't do as well as us human beings. One is to have those conversations. We are always going to need to have community and be in community with others. It hasn't changed from the caveman days. It's not going to change just because AI is here. And I think there's going to be a need for it even more. COVID was a difficult time for everybody, and I think one of the most difficult times was that separation, that forced separation where we couldn't be in the office and so on and so forth. So one of the things I want to do, in answer to your question, is to be able to bring people back together. I want to be able to have face-to-face conversations over Zoom, but actually in person as well. I want to help the leaders of the business form a senior leadership team that they can rely on, they can trust, they can delegate properly to. I want to have off-site days with those where I facilitate a day of not just team building, but learning, goal setting, accountability, and everything else that comes with being in a group of people that you're working with. And then I want to be able to do that and then work with them and mentor them and have a review in 90 days and see, did we do all the things that we said we were going to do, or do we need to change the goals or do something different moving forward? And for me, that's not replaceable by AI yet. And I think I'm passionate about people. I love working with people. I love developing people and helping people to grow.
That's really interesting. Obviously you mentioned COVID. Has there been a difference kind of since COVID with the way people, obviously, like with more hybrid working and things like that. And I know you said wanting to bring people back together, and you've obviously talked about kind of whether it's face to face on online or in person. Have you noticed any differences in how people lead or manage, whether it's themselves, teams, organizations, and has anything kind of changed with that?
Yeah, gosh, so much has changed, hasn't it? I mean, 5 years ago, we were in a totally different world. And it was interesting from a technical point of view. One of the best quotes I heard was that we went from 2020 to 2030 overnight. We advanced sort of 10 years in our tech world. Before that, I think nothing of driving a few hundred miles just for one meeting and then driving back. You wouldn't have Zoomed it because that would have been weird. Whereas
I
now it'd
did.
be. Yeah.
So in 2018, I ran a Zoom course for like a course using Zoom, and everyone was like, "What is this thing?" And then it was like, yeah, not long after. I think it was 2018, but certainly around then. And I was like, now everybody's doing it. So clearly, I'm ahead of the game.
You are a change maker. This is true. This is this is what the title is. So yeah, so I think so that there was benefits to that. I think there was a lot of negatives, not just with the actual fact of COVID, but negatives that we're going to suffer for many years. And one of those, sadly, is around our children, and the children that went through breaks in schooling and a fear of masks and distancing and everything else like that. I don't quite know how long that effect is going to carry on for, but it
It's
definitely
still
is.
evident in schools now. Even the younger ones that come. I mean, so my youngest is 7, so she was 2 or 3, quite a critical kind of age at that period. My eldest was coming to the end of primary school. She seems all right, touch wood, at the moment. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that kind of follows them into adulthood, but also, as you say, kind of where it stops, maybe.
Yeah, I think one of the other things from a business point of view is that for a good while, probably was it a year, nearly 18 months, maybe I don't know because we didn't do this, but there was the government furlough scheme where those children's parents were sat at home. Netflix and chill became a phrase because of that. Almost, they were on 80% pay from the government. Some of the companies topped it up to 100% pay. The examples those children had at that time, I think, is extremely damaging because their parents were getting paid to watch telly. Now, when
Yeah.
they come into the workforce and into our companies as employees, they have this entitlement around them, which hasn't been there before, because their example is I don't have to work. Mum and dad didn't work. They just Netflixed and chilled and still got paid. And that has got such a negative effect on what we're currently doing and what I'm currently seeing. And I don't think we've seen the full effect of that, like you said, because those children in that kind of age bracket, mine were similar, so that they've gone into college and uni now, 16 and 18 now. But other people, we didn't furlough anybody. We carried on working. We carried on,
Mm.
supporting NHS and all the other things that we were doing. But I think we haven't seen the full effect of that yet, although we're starting to.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that. Possibly because we were working all the way through it. So I was working in education at the time, education consultancy. So I was working with schools to help them find strategies for supporting them teaching online and things like that. So I was kind of delivering all my training online in between running back to the kitchen table to set the kids off with work. And we could have actually sent ours into school because we were both seen as key workers, because my husband is a lecturer as well at the university, so he was still teaching upstairs, I was still delivering training back into kind of teaching them. But we didn't put them in school because my youngest little girl had a heart operation when she was 4 months old. She'd gone into kind of heart failure, and we didn't know, obviously that had lung damage, and we didn't know how she was going to be affected by it, so we just didn't want to risk it. I'm asthmatic. It was me that ended up being totally floored when we did eventually get it. But yeah, so I mean, like, I don't know whether theirs was any better of an environment to see us kind of running off our feet and juggling a million different things, but I totally hadn't thought about the opposite side of the coin with that one.
Yeah, I'm so sorry you had to go through all that, especially at that time. That must have just been awful for all of you. But again, they would have seen you working hard, And that's what I saw my parents do and my grandparents do, because they had to work hard. So I think in hindsight, I don't wish for any of that to happen to anybody, but the benefit of that is that you weren't sat on the sofa and watching Netflix and chilling and being paid for doing nothing. And like I said, I think that, on top of the X Factor, which looks like you get £1 million for singing a song, on top of the influencers we now have, which all just show their
just post on
highlight
social
reel,
media and you get
and all that kind of stuff, is making it extremely hard for employers to employ good young people. There are some out there, I'm not dissing them all, and I love working with them and encouraging them as well. But I think as leaders, we need to adapt slightly. I don't think we should bow down to everything, because I think, there's reasons why people should be in the office rather than being at home. I wouldn't have the skills, the knowledge, the understanding I have if I'd just worked from home all my life. The chats around the water cooler, the conversations I can hear on somebody else's telephone, oh my goodness, someone's in trouble, let's not do that, all those sorts of things that you just don't even think about. That's been taken away now because everyone's working from home or working remotely. And I don't think that's a good thing. I think also people are lonely. I think we've got a lonely pandemic out there of loneliness, and people don't know what to do about it, and especially in the older generation. And I think we need to get back to being in community with people and helping people and reaching out to people and having meaningful conversations. This sort of stuff's absolutely fantastic, to be able to reach out and connect with somebody. There was a program in America where they would fly to a state they'd never been to, go to an old phone box and get something called a telephone directory out, which lots of people may not know what that is. And they would just flick to a random page, put their finger on a random person's phone number, call it, and then say, we're filming a documentary, can we come around and interview you? And they would say, yeah, what for? I'm not nobody special. Don't worry, we'll explain when we get there. They got there, interviewed the person who was nobody special. They weren't a celebrity, they weren't an influencer, but they had a story, because everyone's got a life, everyone's got a story, everyone's got something that they can share and help the next generation or help the world with. And just by doing something like that, or reaching out to your neighbors, or again, the relationships that we form, friendships and other, typically happen in and around the workplace. And I think that's getting less now.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. Yeah. And you're totally preaching to the converted with the impact that you have on different people in different scenarios as well. Interesting that you're saying about the young people as well. So the charity that I was talking about, one of the things that we're looking at trialing is to develop kind of entrepreneurial leadership skills, all of those things. And we're wanting to speak to local businesses about what it is that young people are missing going into the workplace, so that we can kind of help support them with that. So I might have to come and pick your brains a bit further about that one, because that would be really interesting to just. And I'd never thought about it from the COVID impact and how that kind of still carries on. I'll definitely be picking your brains a little bit more about it.
Love to help and be involved if I can in some way. But I think we're all, we're all the outcome of the examples we've seen in our life. I love Jim Rohn, the quotes he comes up with and his teachings. He's been a mentor to me, albeit vicariously. But one of my favorite quotes from him is, "We're the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. So choose wisely." And it's true. My parents were lovely, my brothers are lovely, my family's lovely, my friends are lovely, because I surround myself with good people, and I sort of block people that aren't lovely and I don't want to be around. And then the opposite of that is true as well. If that's your only example of being around people that are horrible, you're probably going to end up horrible.
Yeah. No, it's a favourite quote of mine as well, I have to say. So obviously you're doing lots of different things, and I know there's other things that we haven't even talked about today, and who knows, you may well pop back on again to talk about that later. But have you got any tips for anyone who is trying to kind of make a difference and help other people in whatever it might look like, whether it is within leadership, or if they're sitting there listening thinking, oh, I really want to do X, Y, and Z? Do you have any tips for people?
So I think it depends on what you can do, but we can all listen to something like this, and I'd encourage you to find other good podcasts out there like this one once you've listened to all of these episodes, and try and find somebody that resonates with you and how you like to think or what you would like to be like, so that you can have that being influenced into your life. If you can read, then there's lots of amazing books out there as well. Maybe I'll share some and we can put in the show notes. One of the ones I share often with people, because it's slightly unusual, but it's an easy read, it's an even better audio book to listen to, is called It's Your Ship, SHIP, and it's from a US Navy captain and how he turned the worst ship in the Navy around into being the best ship in the Navy. And he's got a very simple approach in how he did that. Through leadership, that's simply what it was. But that's a fantastic book to listen to, because he actually reads it, the author. And surround yourself with good people. Like we said, if you can reach out to a coach or a mentor, somebody who's been there, got the experience, then I would always recommend that. Not just because that's the world I'm in and that's what I do, but because that's how I've got to be where I've got to be. That's how I am the person I am, and that's how I've done the things and got the things and living the life I'm living, is because I've been learning from others. Nobody batters an eyelid at the best sports people in the world having the best coaches in the world. But we do batter an eyelid when we're looking at a business person having a business coach. We think that sometimes they're failing, whereas it's not. It's the opposite of that. They're doing so well that they know they don't know everything, and they want to improve, or they want to get somebody in to help somebody else in their team, whatever department that might be in, to be able to improve. That's real leadership. That's real skill, to be able to have that humility and the yearning for learning, so that you can develop yourself and your team and your business for yourself and for your clients, your customers, and the other people around you forevermore.
And I guess even like going back to that quote about being the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with, it doesn't need to be physical people, does it? It can be the likes of kind of Jim Rohn that you're listening to and immersing yourself in kind of all of the stuff that he does or other people do. They don't have to be a physical person that you are necessarily in the same room as all the time. So yeah, no, that's really good. Thank you.
Yeah, Napoleon Hill's famous book, Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich.
You know, he would form a boardroom of Albert Einstein and Edison, and you can add modern people to that list as well. They don't have to be people that are alive. They don't have to be people that are in your country or around you. But if you understand them, what they've gone through, and you read their autobiographies, are fantastic to tell you the stories, the failures, the mistakes they've made, to all these people that we look up to. And we could all write a book about our journey and our life, to be able to share our stories with others as well. But I think it's really about, are you passionate about doing that? Do you really want to change your life to be a better life for yourself, your family, and for your friends and others around you as well? We spend a lot of time doom scrolling nowadays, and I'm guilty as anybody else, whereas actually we could be doing something a lot more productive with our lives than doom scrolling, and helping others to be better and to make a dent on the universe, Steve Jobs said, and I quite like that. But yeah, there's lots of free ways now. We didn't have Google or YouTube or podcasts when I was growing up, yet I still managed to be okay and turn out okay from the ways I did it. You can get a library card for free, so that doesn't even stop you from getting a physical book and reading it if that's what you want to do.
And obviously, as an author and book coach, I do totally support the library. So yeah, and yes, I think it's probably a less used resource these days, isn't it? But it's easy to go and access them. They're everywhere, but yes, possibly closing down a little bit. Can you tell us, so anybody who is listening who wants to find a little bit more about you and what you do and how you help people, where can they find you?
So the best way is through my website. It's amazing3dgoals.com. The number 3 for 3-dimensional. So amazing3dgoals.com. There'll be contact forms on there, and please reach out to me. It'd be lovely to engage with you. I'm on LinkedIn as well, and we'll put that link into the show notes as well, so you can contact me, connect with me that way. I try and post up something every day, and some interesting things and some difficult things as well. I've got a post coming up soon that I know that's a difficult one, a personal one for me, and I want to share the good stuff and the bad stuff and the real stuff, because not every day is a good day for everybody, yet you wouldn't know that by looking at most people's highlight reel on their social media. So I want to be honest with people, and come along for the journey if you'd like to.
No, it sounds great. And before we wrap up, can you tell us a fun fact about yourself?
So It was about 5 years ago, actually. Yep, coming up to 5 years ago now. One of the goals I'd set myself, I love Bear Grylls, the outdoor adventurer, and I noticed that he did a course. He does several courses, but his top course was Survive the Highlands, the Scottish Highlands, Survive the Highlands. It was a 5-day immersive course in the Highlands of Scotland. And I wanted to do it. I saved up some money and got my ticket, nervously drove all the way up to Scotland, all the way up to the Highlands, met a group of guys. There was 12 of us on the course and 3 instructors. He didn't make it, sadly, but the team worked with him and taught his way of doing things. But we were off grid for 5 days, no phone signal. They had a satellite phone just in case because we were so far off grid. And I'd never met these people before. I was nervous. I didn't know what we were going to be doing. I knew roughly, but I didn't know quite what. And after those 5 days, it was amazing what friendships formed, what relationships formed, what understanding. And we'd been through the highs and lows of everyone, hypothermia even with one guy. And we'd all struggled and got to a low point, and we'd all got to a high point. And having that self-discovery journey and pushing myself physically and mentally, more mentally than physically, was something that I continued to sort of learn from, but also enjoy the benefits of, knowing how far I can push myself, and actually you can get through so much more than you think you can. So that's something not many people know about, but it's something that I really enjoy doing. And I would encourage people to push yourself out of your comfort zone. You don't have to do that, but whatever your current comfort zone is, it's probably not serving you as well as it could be. So stretch yourself through the learning zone into that next zone level, and don't stay there too long. Form another goal and push yourself to the next level.
That sounds absolutely amazing. Yeah, and I totally agree with you about keep pushing to the next level. Well, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast, and I have no doubt that you'll be back at some other point to talk about your other goings on in your life and where else you're making a difference. So thank you so much for joining us, James.
Thank you. It'd be great.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Changemakers with Eleanor. I hope you're leaving as inspired as I am. If today's story has sparked something in you, remember it's never too late to start making a difference. Whether it's writing that book you've always dreamed of, stepping up in your community, or starting that campaign you're passionate about. If you enjoyed our time together, please consider giving us a rating and review on your favourite podcast platform, and share this episode with someone who could use a little inspiration. Your support helps us to reach more changemakers just like you. Join me, Eleanor, in the next episode for another deep dive into the stories of those who dare to dream big. Until then, be your greatest. See you next time.